Good morning, church. So here we are, staring down another 6 weeks of the circuit breaker with even more restrictions on what we can and cannot do. And I've had this song going through my head for a while about being in a time of waiting when your walls just won't fall down. And that's what it feels like, doesn't it? We thought we'd almost reached the end. We thought we had sat it out long enough. We thought we'd learned those tough lessons about trusting God when times are difficult, but still our walls haven't fallen. So it's kind of like the story of Joshua when he and the Israelites were facing Jericho. Think about it. They couldn't go back to where they'd come from. They hadn't made it to the promised land just yet. And they'd been wandering around in the wilderness for what seemed like forever. So there they were facing one more obstacle, Jericho. A large, ancient, fortified city with a lot of experienced soldiers. And to make matters worse, their leader, Joshua, gave them instructions that didn't make sense at all. In fact, they were downright foolish. March around the city, not once, but for 6 days. And on the 7th day, march around 7 times, blowing horns and finishing up with a single shout. Now, what kind of battle plan is that? So, what would you do? Of course, we know that the walls of Jericho fell when the people obeyed God's instructions. And we know that God was planning all along to deliver them in an unheard of miraculous way. But all the Israelites saw was another roadblock, another who knows how long period of waiting, and another not knowing what was going to happen after that. So I'm sure there was a lot of grumbling, a lot of blaming, a lot of wishing they could go back to the way things were before, even weeping, even despair, and even fear about the future. But what Joshua and the Israelites did have when they were facing Jericho was God's promise. Because of course, way back when Moses was still trying to convince Pharaoh to let his people go, God gave them this promise. He said, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the yoke of oppression. I will take you as my people, and I will be your God. And I will bring you to the land I promised. I will give you that land as a possession. I am the Lord. They also had evidence of God's faithfulness. They only had to look back and remember God parted the Red Sea. And just last week, he parted the Jordan for them to cross over into Canaan on dry land. God had provided for them, giving them manna from heaven and quail for 40 years. And God had done so many amazing things during those times. They had evidence of God's faithfulness. They had the assurance that God was with them. They even had the Ark of the Covenant, God's very presence in the midst of them. And you know what? We have these same promises. We have this same evidence of God's faithfulness. Just look back over your life, over this season, and see how God has sustained you. See how God has provided for you. And claim the promises of God, because he has already won the victory. And what he said to the Israelites when they were facing Jericho, he says to you today. He says this from Exodus chapter 14, verse 13. Don't be afraid. Stand firm and watch God do his work of salvation for you today. God is fighting the battle for you. You need to just simply trust and be at peace. Can I sing you that song? Walking around these walls, I thought by now they'd fall, but you have never failed me yet. Waiting for change to come, but knowing the battle's won, for you have never failed me yet. Your promise still stands. is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed. Your promise still stands. Great is your faithfulness, your faithfulness. I'm still in your hands. This is my confidence. You've never failed me yet. You've never failed me yet. And I never will forget. You've never failed me. Have a great week, everyone.